Welcome to Things You Didn't Ask For and Didn't Need to Know. Today's topic is going to be the question of religion. It's been a while since we've did an episode, so we figured we'd, keep it light on our way back. So, I guess before we start, I'm going to ask if you enjoyed the show today, if you liked the episode, or, please subscribe, hit the bell, do all those good things. And I'm Mart.
I'm Donal.
And I'm Barry.
So, as I said, we're going to talk about religion today, but just to remind everyone, the normal format of the show, and we've kind of jumbled it around when we tried with different things, but we are going to just stick with the original format of, we'll talk about a few random things we found interesting, things we just want to bring to the table and have a chat about, and then we'll move on to the main topic of the day. So, I guess, as always, we'll start with you, Barry. What have you got for us today?
Okay, start. Like you said, we were just back. We haven't recorded an episode in a while, so I thought I'd start back with some nice, light and fluffy stuff. First one being that global warming, always a funny subject. It's making the days longer. Apparently, with the polar ice caps melting and the water apparently gathers at the equator, it's making the Earth spin a little bit slower, 1.33 million milliseconds per century. It's slowing the Earth down. Now, that doesn't sound like a lot.
Well, yeah, it isn't.
It isn't, because it isn't. But it does and will rather throw out sensitive equipment like GPS and satellite, math. It's gonna cause.
What I find really interesting there is the fact that, I don't know, somebody has a measurement instrument sensitive enough to detect that and know it, or probably they figured out that that's what was going to happen and then measured it.
Well, I suppose they figured, like with physics, if you spin liquids in a certain way, they react in a predictable manner. So they know the Earth is this shape, the water does this, and on these shapes. So therefore, it's going to pool at the equator, and it's going to
science, bitch.
Yeah, science. I'm telling you. Speaking of the Earth, Earth is not a huge planet as planets go. However, the mass of the Earth. I thought this was fascinating. The mass of the Earth is greater than the Moon, Mars, Venus, and Mercury combined.
Really?
Yeah. So,
the Moon?
Yeah, Mars.
Mars I'm surprised about.
Yeah, the Moon you could almost like...
Yeah, Mercury.
Yeah, Mars, Venus and Mercury.
The mass.
The mass.
So not the weight, but the mass.
So all the mother moons
Thick boy.
throwing around the yo mama jokes.
Yeah.
But that's because, that's interesting if you're ordering pizza. Why?
I don't know.
I have no idea where this is going.
Yeah.
But go on.
Because let's say you go to, because I figured this out once. Well, I heard it, but then I figured it out. And I did maths on it, right? If you go into Pizza Max, for example, you can get a large pizza that is like, let's say, €17, or you can get two regular pizzas. So you'll be thinking like, ooh, 2 regular pizzas, that's a lot of pizza. But if you get the one bigger pizza, that extra inches in diameter
is massive.
Yeah. Like every other centimeter more you get is actually a huge amount more of pizza.
Yeah, I knew that. It's circle. It's geometry. It's
yeah.
It's all about pi.
Very good.
Here's another one for you. You know the way if you own a hamster or a small rodent in your house in a cage or whatever, and they have those little wheels, and they jump in the little wheel and run around. I always thought they would do it because that was there and that was all they had. Turns out not so much. Mice in the wild mice, if they find something similar to it in the wild, they'll hop into it and run around it for ages just for the hell of it. Apparently, it's just something that rodents like to do.
Oh,
well,
right.
I'm just trying to envisage where would they find something like that in the wild all the time.
Well, that's like playgrounds. I don't know.
Actually, that does remind me of a time that we were in Paris, not for the Olympics, obviously, but we were in Paris a few years ago, and it was a lovely, warm, hot day. And the other way, there's a stretch before the Eiffel Tower. There's a big, long garden. Kind of big, massive garden before.
Is that along the Champs-Élysées or something?
I actually don't know. I do know we were sitting here and then the Eiffel Tower was in front of us there. Yeah. But we went for a walk because Linda was working for Campaign and we were looking at playgrounds and stuff. Now this was not a Campaign playground. We walked there in the playground. There were 2 or 3 rats, and I mean huge, like James Herbert, is it? Style rats. And they were just like casually walking around the place, not scared of anyone. Okay.
Because they're at home.
But
Friendly.
like they're city rats. So if I can explain the joke,
that was good.
It's clever in a very bilingual way. It's the Irish word for a French person would be franco, franco, which is also coincidentally and let's say not relatedly the same as the Irish word for rat.
It's very close, yeah.
Yeah.
Franco is franco. So it's very, very similar. How many, on average, hairs do you think the human head has?
Oh, let me think. This is actually different for blondes, for brunettes, and
Yes,
for...
but that's why I said
Really?
on average.
Yeah,
And also, for the follically challenged. But on average.
not me. So I'm going to say, Barry, based on my prior knowledge of this, blondes have less, which is around about 80 or 90,000, as opposed to black people with black hair, which is like around about 30,000. I'm going to say 100,000.
Okay.
150,000. I'm just
Okay, you're both wrong. The average hair, not counting race or
Wait a second. Do you mean just on the head or the whole body?
hair on your head,
Okay, go on.
300,000 hairs.
300,000.
300,000. That's the average. That's what it works out at.
pity the fool that had to count that out.
I know, right? Scientists. They probably just did a like 2 centimeter squared and then multiplied it up.
Well, yeah, I'm sure they didn't actually.
Is an intern. How close? What's the distance, geographically speaking, between the United States and Russia?
I'm not even going to hazard a guess there. Every globe we have is so warped and inaccurate. It's just I don't have a clue.
I wouldn't have a clue.
2,000 miles.
Okay, 2.5. Not even. It's
2,500 miles.
No, it's 3.8 kilometers to be precise,
Huh?
which is 2.4 miles. Yeah, up the top there between Alaska and Russia, where Sarah Palin says she can see the Russians. She can actually see the Russians. She can walk over there in winter.
Really?
Yeah, that whole area freezes over. You can literally walk from.
Wait a
America.
minute. No, the big thing we all laughed at Sarah Palin for is actually kind of it's a thing.
Well, yeah, she could
She
see
said lots
Russia.
of stupid stuff, though.
She could see
Yeah.
Russia, but so what?
Huh. Interesting.
Yeah, there you go. And finally, in cartoons, years ago, you'd always see them if they were drinking alcohol. What used to be written on the bottles?
Ale.
Grog.
No, XXX.
Oh, okay. And then porn ruined it.
yeah. But does anyone know what that XXX stood for? Is the question.
No.
Strength of alcohol.
Strength does have something to do with strength. So moonshine, and a lot, you see it on whiskey bottles and everything as well, triple distilled. So each time they would distill it, they'd put an X on the bottle, and they know that's been distilled once. Then they distill it again, put the second X on.
Oh, okay.
And
Because
then they
know.
distill it the third time.
And every time you distill it, the alcohol gets, there's more alcohol in it.
Yes, I think so, yeah.
I just love how they went for accuracy in these children's cartoons. It's
I
like,
know.
we cannot get this wrong. Kids are watching this.
Yeah, kids, they'll grow up and they'll drink the wrong kind of alcohol.
Wrong kind of hooch.
The wrong kind of hooch. And that's all my tidbits for this week.
Hot diggity.
Smart.
Well, I don't really have any bits of information. I more have just things that I want to ask you because it's been
Okay.
ages since
Yes,
we've
yes,
talked
it
about
has
this
been a
stuff.
while, yeah.
Firstly, Trump or Harris?
Harris.
Oh, obviously Harris.
I'm not asking who do you want to win. Who do you think's going to win?
Oh, Harris.
You see,
I'm
while
holding on hope for the human
while
race.
Biden was in, it was definitely Trump. Definitely.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So now that Biden is gone, like at this stage, we should say this is the 30th of July,
2024.
2024. We don't often timestamp our videos.
No, I guess that's relevant, yeah.
But this is relevant because there might be, according to Trump, if he did win, there would be no need for a second election.
Yeah, there'd be nobody would need to vote again, I think was what he said.
Yeah.
Which is...
You know, to be fair, right, because I listened to that because I heard, obviously, big drama that he said this. When you listen to the whole quote and when you kind of are familiar with the way he speaks, you know, he's immediately always going to be, I'm so perfect, everything I do is so great.
The
And
greatest.
The way he was framing it, and by the way, I do think that he would love to be a dictator, take power, and just keep it until he died. I think this isn't stating anything revolutionary or, dramatic, shocking, new, anything. Everybody knows that, right? But I think in the context of that comment, he was saying kind of, just vote once, I'll get in, and I'll fix it all, and everything will be great. Everything will be fixed. You won't even need to vote again because everything will be perfect.
Oh, okay, so he wasn't saying there'll be no more elections.
Well,
he was saying,
put it this
just
way.
in this election, you won't have to...
I'm not saying what he was saying or not, because what he said was just vote once and you won't need to vote again. That is open to interpretation. But I just kind of think in the context of what he was saying there, and I'm not standing up for him, but
the thing about Trump is that you don't need to take things he says out of context. Like that one, from what, because I didn't know that. Now that I know that's in context, it's a non-story. You don't need to do that with him. The man will say the most controversial things anyway, and the things that should make us go, or not us, we don't vote, but in America, but Americans should be going, no, we don't want this rapey criminal guy.
Do you know what scared the hell out of me? Really and truly. Now, I had just watched a movie, I can't remember what it's called now. It's a movie from the 80s. It's called Threads. It's a movie from the 80s that I think the BBC made to show this is what would happen if there was a world war. Early 80s, middle of the Cold War and all that kind of stuff. And it was like nuclear war, bombs and all that kind of stuff. But I just happened to have seen that a few days before. But I listened to a podcast with a writer called Annie Jacobson. And she wrote a book.
Oh, Annie Jacobson.
Yeah, she had done loads of other kind of books, and she was a journalist, I think, for a while, of all the American political world kind of stuff. But long story short, she's just written a book on nuclear war. And in the world of, like, if you were like in the 50s and 60s, that was the big thing. Everybody's scared, and there's drills in school of if the nuclear bomb goes off, go under the table to be safe, kind of thing, which obviously was ridiculous. But then in the modern day, if you ask anyone what's the biggest threat, everyone's going like, I keep hearing about this AI thing, or an asteroid might strike. Probably the most likely thing to kill us all, very likely, is nuclear war. Has got to be up there very high still. And she wrote a book. Kind of, she was taking the whole prospect of how likely it is to happen, but she kind of dramatized it in a fake story of this happened and Kim Jong-un did this, and so the story is fictional recounting of the war, but it's based entirely on the actual how it would happen.
Okay.
And one of the things, because I listened to her doing a podcast with Lex Friedman, and long and the short of it is, she was saying one of the things that I took away from it is, if ICBMs were detected that were perceived to be nuclear missiles coming into America, for example, the American president is informed and he has 6 minutes to make the decision to launch back or not. Only 6 minutes, that's it. So that just is such a critical time. And I'm just imagining, he's in the room, there's all these advisors, they're all screaming at each other and screaming at him. And what kind of a mentality does that person have to know, do I push the button, do I not, whatever? And we all know the story of the American sub in the 80s, I think, when some submarine commander detected a missile coming in to Russia, which he detected. Well, the standard operating procedure here, I am in a chain of command, I don't have a decision to make here, is launch back, because the Americans have launched at us, I need to launch back. And he just decided, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to break my orders and I'm not going to follow them. And in Russia, that's not going to go well for you if it's a mistake. And phew, lucky he didn't, because it wasn't a nuclear launch coming in at them. But this, I think we talked about this in the Armageddon episode we talked about. But I don't know. I just realized what should be on the forefront of every conversation about, hey, who should be the American president? And you might think, it's America. We're Irish. Why am I caring so much?
Oh no, that's
because
nobody
we
thinks
all
that.
live in the same bucket. Like,
nobody thinks that anywhere on this planet. Hopefully, because
yeah.
like if you zoom out a bit and you look at what's happening in the South China Seas and stuff, what's happening right now, China and what they're doing, and I'm sure Taiwan are getting really, really nervous. But anyone living down there, the Philippines, all those places, with Trump in the White House, it's carte blanche for anyone to do whatever they want, because he's not going to get involved. He's not going to turn around and say, no, we don't worry, Philippines, Malaysia,
Well, actually,
we've got your back.
The worst thing is, he might not, I think, for example, if Russia had invaded Ukraine when Trump was in office, he would have been like, what's that got to do with me? Why would I care? But I'm sure you know what he said about NATO. Yeah, but if you don't pay your way, then I'm going to just invite any dictator to go do whatever the hell they want, kind of thing.
He's a very isolationist.
Yeah, but anyway, I don't know. I think definitely when I saw footage of that assassination attempt, and I was kind of like, oh, and then when he like raised his fist triumphantly, I was like, oh, this is it. He's definitely won this election.
Same here.
But it hasn't, and it hasn't
because
garnered.
Biden stood down.
Yeah, I think that helped an awful lot. And like, look, nobody should shoot someone else. Like, attempting to assassinate someone is very, very wrong. I did see one thing that made me laugh, and that was someone saying that the Republicans are saying, why isn't this story making more headlines and stuff? And somebody said, well, you Republicans have said that teenagers going on shooting sprees it's just a price to pay for freedom. So, you know, you got that now. So,
yeah.
you know, so it was kind of like, okay, yeah.
It's weird because I can't wait to hear the angle of the kid that did it. Like, where was he coming from?
Well, he's dead, so.
Well, yeah, but I'm not expecting him to tell his own story.
Yeah.
I can't wait for his autobiography.
Ouija board.
That's going to be a tough one.
No, but you know the way they immediately will go on his
Well,
social
they did.
media and
the
see.
last thing he
he's-
searched for on his phone was porn.
Well, I mean, yeah, okay, he's a teenager, right? But I mean, it's more just kind of you can almost see. Oh, here are his political leanings. He's clearly, you know, anti-Trump or whatever. But this kid was more, you know, where are important people? Oh, I'll go there.
Yeah,
you know, it doesn't seem
apparently
to be.
well, no, I might be misremembering this, but apparently he was pro-Trump.
Well, yeah, I think he was
And
a
and it was
Republican
more,
or something.
the famous person angle. This is
Interesting.
yeah.
No, I thought it was that he was just. I thought it was just that he was anti-Trump.
No, I think as far
No,
again,
that was the assumption, but
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
correct me in the comments if I'm wrong.
well, apparently, I think the FBI are trying to get into his phone and they can't because the encryption is so good now.
Oh, I wonder how they knew he searched for porn then.
Well, probably on his computer.
Oh, maybe. Yeah, maybe.
You know, bigger screen. All the advantages.
Oh, yeah.
But so another thing I was going to ask because I am watching House of the Dragon, the Game of Thrones spin-off,
Season 2.
season 2.
Okay.
I don't know, are you watching it?
I didn't know it was out.
Really?
We watched one or two episodes of season 2.
Because I mean, I had watched season 1 and I was kind of that was very underwhelming. I think maybe I built it up in my mind to be a bit too much. But also it really felt like all the entire season was just setting the scene. You know the way normally there's a scene set an episode before the big episode.
Yeah.
That whole entire season 1 felt like that.
Yeah.
But season 2 feels like Game of Thrones again.
Does it?
Really?
Game of Thrones early seasons.
Okay.
I'm not saying it's as good, but it's kind of proper, you know, Game of Thronesy seasons.
Game of Thronesy.
Early seasons.
It's like,
kind of political
and it's
intrigue
normal
stuff.
for a series to take a season to settle in. It's just that Game of Thrones landed.
You can
running,
only
basically.
do that. You can only take that risk with a TV show that you know is going to land. Because if you don't think your TV show is going to go past season, you know, if you're making a TV show and you're not sure the network's going to give you a second season, then you're that's a huge risk to take. Make a season that's just setting up the story. You're never like Breaking Bad. I think spent almost every season was a build up. Sure.
Yeah.
You know, and then there'd be a punchline for something that happened 2 seasons ago in this episode, and there'd be not a punchline, but a conclusion for a story. And those kinds of shows are so rare that you're taking a huge risk to say, right, well, we'll make this as a setup season, and then if we get season 2, we can really start the story. So I think it's a huge risk to take. But I think because they're franchise, the Game of Thrones franchise was very strong.
Until it wasn't.
Yeah. But I think that the creators of House of the Dragon knew Game of Thrones fans, if we can make this right, Game of Thrones fans will follow us. They'll bring us along, you know.
And tell me, since we're kind of talking about, I don't know, at least all I'm doing is throwing out random stuff that happened recently that I happen to remember.
Almost things we didn't ask for.
Yes, and really you don't need to know.
Don't need to know.
You already know. How did you find that Crowdstrike kind of a outage there? You know, when all the computers...
It actually didn't bother me, but I think it didn't bother us directly. Did it bother you directly?
No.
But
Had no effect on my life.
yeah.
Well, if you were flying, or if you were in a hospital. No, but I found it funny because, I don't know, it was such a simple thing. It was one little, 40 kilobyte file that just got uploaded to servers and broke half them across the world.
Here's the thing that I heard somewhere. The guy who is I don't know if he's the CEO, I think he's the CEO of Crowdstrike,
Okay.
was the CEO of McAfee when a similar thing happened to McAfee back in the day.
Really?
Yep.
Well, I mean, maybe, and I wouldn't necessarily draw any conclusions from that because
But
apparently...
some conclusions were that this is like, now, I don't believe in any of these, okay?
Go on.
But there were some people were saying, like, you know, was this a way to kind of to prepare the world for if and when, like, you know, there's a massive cyber attack globally, how will people behave and how will companies react and this kind of thing?
It'd be absolutely pandemonium.
What,
panic
if there was a
and-
proper cyber attack?
Yeah, I saw it. I used to work in a supermarket and in a small village, and one time something happened and none of the card machines or ATMs in the village worked, and people came into their shoppings, and I'm not joking, the panic on some people were like, oh, it's not working. They're not working anywhere in the village. And they literally would just leave their shopping there and run out the door to go into town or somewhere to get money. And the panic of that, like knowing that, oh my God, all my money, what am I going to do? How do I buy my groceries? How do I do that? It was real panic, like, and that was in a tiny little village in one shop. Now, the whole village was out, apparently, but...
Well, if you ever want to see a kind of a good, realistic depiction of that happening, you know Mr. Robot, the TV show?
Yes.
Like, I really liked, and it was very nerdy, obviously, but spoiler alert, for a show that's like a couple of years old or whatever.
Yeah.
But like the premise is they just kind of want to wipe out money. And it seems like such an unrealistic thing, you know, because if you wipe out all the computers still, but they had it all orchestrated, they were going to wipe out all the bank servers at the same time that we're going to take out the backups and all. And when you watch it, it's like, yeah, it's fictional, but also, yeah, it's kind of interesting to see. But no, but I do think the CrowdStrike thing was just kind of a failure, I guess, in, you know, normally, because the first thing that struck me is if what I'm hearing is true, some antivirus company put out a antivirus update. It's not actually antivirus, anti-malware, or monitoring tool kind of stuff. I was like, how would you not know? Like, surely you tested it on a server before you deployed it to
it just tells you they're...
And for those of you that don't know, Mark works in IT.
Yeah, but it's a simple case of the testing that they do was all automated, and then the automation just missed it somehow, which shows you how, I don't know, it kind of really showed me a huge gaping hole in the system that the world relies on. Yeah. Because anyway, I found it very interesting.
Just for you, it's 2015 to 2019 is when Mr. Robot was on TV.
Yeah, okay. So, funny enough, I've never seen season 1, but yeah. No,
same.
Really good.
Not even all of it.
What?
I lost
you only
interest.
ever saw season 1?
Yeah. I just was like one of those shows, I must go back to it and just, you know, life gets in the way.
Okay.
Aye. Don't know what he got.
Mart, would you have anything else?
I'll tell you a funny fact that I heard.
Okay.
We talked about the moon landing that India did recently.
Oh, yes.
Well, recently, at this stage, maybe half a year more ago. But I just heard recently that it cost them less to do that moon landing than it cost to make the movie Interstellar.
Yeah, I heard about that.
And I was like, what? It's cheaper to go to the moon than make the movie, but going to space.
Actually, Mart, I'll tie into that nicely, a nice segue. Mm-hmm. It's like, because it tells you when you have... Is it called a fixed government contract?
I don't know. It depends on what you're talking about. If you're
I'm
talking about fixed government contracts, then yes.
I'm talking about Boeing. So basically, there's two interesting things here. There's like, when you look at the Indian space program, okay, versus the Chinese space program, versus the American space program, versus SpaceX.
Okay.
I'm not going to say Europe because we botched up.
How did we botch up?
We're still going to be sending people to space.
Or do we have a space program already?
Okay.
I don't know.
Yeah. Okay, here, good question. Okay, so really, really quickly, our space program is largely based in France because we have the Ariane rocket. So at the time when SpaceX were starting off, the Ariane space, the latest Ariane, I don't know if it's the Ariane 5, basically the latest Ariane rocket was being built. Okay. Now, they could have gone, how are things coming down the line? How are things going? And they could have looked at Elon Musk and gone, oh, Elon Musk is doing a reusable rocket. Okay. Instead, they said, no, we're just going to do the same old thing we always do and make a rocket that goes in the air, it gets destroyed, and it, like, you know,
propels astronauts into space.
Yeah, it puts astronauts in space or stock into space.
I never thought I'd stand up for the French, but I'm going to say, at the time, they were probably thinking, you know, we have this tried and tested method that works. And there's this maniac over there talking about using AI to fly a spaceship back to Earth and land it on a dock in the water.
But the thing is...
They're thinking, that's never going to work.
Yeah, but this is a space program. This is not... Like, it's famously difficult, it's famously complicated, and it's famously expensive. They should be thinking outside the box.
Yes, but also this is a space program that's answerable to a government.
And also...
And taxpayers.
It's not like they can suddenly just pivot either. You know, like they're in the middle of designing and building a rocket. They can't just say, scrap that 40 billion we just spent on that
here's
the
the
last
thing.
15,
Here's the
20
thing.
years.
Let's say the Ariane rocket, and you don't need to know about rockets, the rocket that the French were working on. And when I say the French, the ESA, the European Space Agency, we're working on, it's basically put like software into the, it's such a stupid understatement, but put more technology into the ship and make it be able to land on its own. They just didn't put any effort into that at all.
Well, again, because they had... It's kind of like if you have someone and you tell them, build a house. and you hire them, and the architect designs the house, and they start building the house, and then you see your neighbours building a slightly different house, and you turn around and go, no, I want turrets, and I want this, and I want that.
No.
Yeah,
You see,
they can go. Yeah, we can
Barry,
see what they're
but,
doing. We can do
yeah,
that.
but okay, but then
they're
let's
contracted to do a specific thing. So
and then to carry on that analogy, the neighbor goes into his house and he wakes up in the morning, and he goes to work. Okay. What does the neighbor do in the evening?
He goes home and goes back into his house.
Yes. What does the first person do?
What first person?
You said the first person looks at the neighbor.
The first person goes to work, and then he comes home, and then he goes.
No, he doesn't have a house because his house has blown up.
Why? I think the analogy. We're
No,
lost
the
in the analogy.
the analogy is
blow up?
perfect. Exactly, Mert. Because that's what the Ariane is doing. It goes up in space, and the whole millions and millions of dollars worth of rocket just blows up.
Well, wait a second. I think Elon Musk calls that rapid aerial disassembly.
Okay, it's rapid. The bricks all just go fall down on the ground.
I think. Look,
you see, the thing is, when there's such a clear, brilliant idea, all other ideas should stop and just do this better idea. In some cases.
Okay, but by the way, I'm not disagreeing with you. But
they can, Barry.
I'm not disagreeing, but I'm just going to say, and I don't know why I didn't even know about this 5 minutes ago, but it's like...
Suddenly I'm passionate about it.
Yes, exactly.
It's all I've ever wanted to do since I found out about it. Let's go. It's been my lifelong dream.
I'm going to say, I would imagine if you are, in a role where you're managing budgets and you're managing this big framework of an organization.
I get it.
And you have to answer to a government, and that government has to answer to a people who... At any news headline of, this organization is squandering money, then instantly there's a big backlash and your budget is cut and your funding is gone. And Elon Musk can blow up 10 rockets in a row. And he did, and laughs at it and shrugs it off and goes, you got to learn. Next. And he's, nobody's upping them, so he doesn't care. And he's just burning away this money as he's inventing a private agency that's mostly, at least fronted by one guy, is so much more flexible than a government response.
I know, and it's ridiculous. But basically, this ties into the Boeing Starliner. Okay, so the Boeing was on top of the Boeing Starliner is the capsule that the people sit in, basically. Mm-hmm. Okay, and it's the capsule that the people sit in that would take people from Earth into space.
Okay,
do you understand?
Yeah.
So the Boeing Starliner was massively over budget. There were like tons of issues with it and everything. Okay, it was hugely over budget, and that's meant to sit on the other expendable rocket, which is called the SLS, okay, Space Launch System, and that's incredibly massively over budget. But basically, Boeing sent up. At this stage, again, as I said, the date there, 30th of July 2024. At this stage,
they sent it up as an mission, is it? With people on it?
And there were 2 people on it. Okay.
Brilliant. And I'm assuming with the amount of money they spent that it went up, did whatever it was meant to do and came back down perfectly.
And we all lived happily ever after.
That's exactly what didn't happen.
Oh dear.
They went up, and then when the shuttle, the Boeing Starliner connected to the... It had loads of trouble for a start, kind of lining up to connect to the International Space Station. When it did connect to the International Space Station, they're like, we've spotted other problems and we can't kind of we don't know if it's safe enough to just send the 2 people back.
So it's the International Space Station now has this Starliner stuck to it.
Yeah.
And they can't go off.
Exactly.
And 2 people stuck up there for the last 6 weeks or something.
For the record, I might as well just say the 2 people are Butch Wilmore and Suni Williams. Okay. But basically those 2 people are stuck on it. So what could happen is the a SpaceX equivalent module could go up and kind of get the 2 people and go back to Earth safely. Okay, but there isn't any spare landing docks free on the.
Oh, I didn't know that.
But there's a big arm.
No back door.
There's no back door. They're all full. But there's a big arm called the Canada arm on the spaceship, on the International Space Station, on the ISS. So that can effectively, that will be able to
plug
probably
it out, throw it in the sun.
Plug it out maybe and just hold it. But that's
and the ridiculous thing about that.
Can it treat maybe it could do it like a paper airplane? The arm can just pick up the Starliner and go.
Yeah, with the people in it. But apparently they knew that thing was leaking coolant before it launched, and they were like, that should be right.
It's an acceptable amount.
It was, yeah.
But this isn't like Apollo 13, where it's like, oh no, there's astronauts stuck in orbit.
No, there's no panic.
There's no danger. They will be brought down one way or the other.
Now,
kind of
there's
thing.
no panic, but they were told, hey guys, you can stay up there for 45 days. At this stage, we're on day something like 55 or
No,
something.
I think
like
even
50.
initially when they were
Are
being
the
launched,
ISSI's going, you're freaking eating all our food.
Yeah, pretty much. And you can't get new food.
You can't get new food.
Because this piece of crap isn't... I should know it's not a piece of crap. The Boeing Starliner's in
Boeing.
What I find interesting about all that as well is the fact that the ISS has been up there now for nearly 24 years, and the Starliner can go up and connect to it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. If you have a phone for more than a year, you can't connect to your anything. Because they've changed all the connections. Yeah. You can't change.
And actually, the ISS, they're going to retire it.
Yeah, it's about time.
And you know what they're going to do with it?
I wish I could retire at 24.
Well, they're going to just.
It's not going to retire at 24. It's going to retire at like 30, actually.
It's going for another 6 years.
Oh yeah, it's going for another few years. Like, yeah.
Oh yeah, but I was saying, SpaceX have been given the contract to basically crash it into the sea.
Oh right.
And they're being paid 750 million quid to do that.
Yeah, but the thing is, they're going to do it safely.
I mean, they could have given me half, and I would just do it.
Yeah. There's two more things.
I'm assuming they'll be able to retrieve a lot of it because I'm assuming there's
No.
No, it's going to burn up in the atmosphere and get destroyed in the sea. And the thing is, they looked at just pushing it out, and I really wish they could have done this. Push it out of orbit a bit. Kind of park it in some, blank area of space.
Yeah.
Because imagine, that could be there for hundreds of years. It'll be such a historical monument.
You'd think they'd be able to tether it to a little rocket and land, and actually land it on the moon and just leave it there.
Or they'd never land that whole thing because
it would
it's
be
not
cool to
designed
crash it on the moon, though. Wouldn't it be cool to crash it on the moon?
I don't know.
I mean, that feels like wanton destruction. And
No. As in, it's kind of like leave it there. Make the moon a
it's like
scrapyard.
Thor when he's finished with his drink, it's like smashing the glass on the ground.
No. Imagine if they made the
can't
moon.
leave it in orbit because there's too much rubbish up there.
Yeah.
Well, no, I don't even mean that they wouldn't want to leave it in orbit anyway, because then it could decay orbit and fall on the Earth somewhere uncontrolled. But push it out of orbit, so it's not even in orbit
And it's just
anymore.
there.
And it's just there.
And
just
someday,
leave it
when
sit
we
there.
get better at space travel, we can visit it and do like a museum.
I mean, we have a car driving around Mars with a spacesuit in it. Why
That's
couldn't we do that?
That's going to freak someone out.
Yeah.
The two things, there's just two quick things I want to say. Mart, first of all, I take it you heard about Robert Downey Jr.
Yes. And come on. That's like somebody
Barry,
who
did
won
you
the
hear
lotto.
this?
Winning the lotto again.
Give a quick little...
Okay. I'll even give what I think is going on here, because there's nobody really knows, right? But as everyone knows, Robert Downey Jr. famously played Iron Man in a 2008 movie, Iron Man. And at the time, they didn't know it, but that launched the entire Marvel Cinematic Universe as it's known today, with nearly 30 movies in it. And lately, when Iron Man died, spoiler alert, in Infinity War, Robert Downey Jr. basically went out of it. And sure, I think they got rid of him because he was looking for 100 million quid per movie that he was making at that stage, because he was such a big name in it. So they got, he died off, his run had ended, and they've come along with all these new movies and new Avengers and all, and nothing is really sticking anymore. So long and the short of it is, I think the MCU is kind of flagging. Then they decided, okay, the new big bad, Thanos and the Infinity thing is done. So the new big bad was going to be Kang the Conqueror, who is a big character in the comics. And, they got this guy, Jonathan Majors, and he was really good when he was introduced in Loki, and I thought he was good. Then there was all this, behind the scenes, beating up women kind of thing happening. And so they kind of had to get him out of the picture. But they had already projected, here's the next 5 years of movies. It's going to culminate in these 2-movie Infinity Saga style, 2 movies, 2 years apart kind of thing. And then they had to change the whole thing because now,
Is that what happened?
Yeah, Kang the Conqueror, they don't know what they're going to do with him.
I mean, why didn't they just recast him?
That they're talking about doing that, and I think they're going to do that, but they're also going to diminish the role that he had. Like Kang was going to be the big bad equivalent of Thanos going on for the next 5 years or whatever. Now they're changing it. But anyway, one of the biggest villains in the comics is Doctor Doom. I'm really excited to see him in the MCU anyway. So they've decided, let's make Doctor Doom be the big bad.
Is Doctor Doom, Mert, the person that had he was all silver and he wore the green suit?
Yes, he was a green cloak. Yeah.
Oh, so we do know him.
Yes.
He's the main villain from Fantastic Four.
Exactly, yeah. So anyway, there's all this big thing of who's going to be all the Fantastic Four. There was so much rumors for like a year and a half about the whole who's going to be the Fantastic Four. And suddenly they declared in the recent Comic-Con or whatever, hey, Robert Downey Jr. is going to play Doctor Doom. What? How on earth is that even a thing? And I don't know, are they going to make it be some multiversal, evil, twin, alternate universe version of Iron Man who's
I don't
still
think so.
in an Iron
I think they're just...
Or is there just,
No,
we need an actor, and,
Yeah, he's
well,
the
we
best
can't
we can
think of
get.
any, so we'll just pick this one that we...
I honestly think Julian McMahon, who played him in the first...
You had the terrible Fantastic Four
the
movies.
first Fantastic Four movie wasn't terrible. I enjoyed it. Chris Evans, who went on to
Yes,
become Captain
so
America,
weird to see him in there when
is
you're
the
like,
Human
what?
Torch.
Yeah.
Jessica Alba was Miss
Invisible.
Miss Invisible. Ian Griffith, the Welsh actor, was Mr. Fantastic, and I can't remember the guy from The Shield was the Thing. And I enjoyed it. I thought it was good. I thought Julian McMahon was
they were good.
fantastic.
They were
he really
good, yeah,
chewed the
yeah.
scenery in that for me. I thought he was really good. And just because we're talking about Robert Downey Jr., how much was he asking for the movies? 100 million.
He was getting paid 100 million.
100 million.
Yeah.
Marvel movies made 29.5 billion. All the Marvel movies.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
29. So 100 million a movie say 100 million per main actor for each of those movies.
Oh, no one would be getting paid as much as Iron Man.
No, but it wouldn't have made a difference.
But-
They could have still paid
Oh,
them
yeah.
all 100 million.
But
But I think what's going on here is Marvel, their MCU's flagging. They're thinking, oh no, what are we going to do? And it's obvious what they're doing wrong, but it's such a basic boardroom kind of a decision.
Corporate idea. Robert Downey
Let's
Jr.
pick
made-
the guy who
Yeah.
launched the MCU and he was really good and beloved in it, and just put him back in it.
Yeah.
It's like, whoa, come on, there's so many other things you could have been doing. But anyway.
But anyway, like what I heard is he's getting paid north of like 80 million.
Yeah.
But then he's going to get like if the film goes over 750 million, he'll get a cut of that. And if it goes over 850 million, he'll get a cut of that. No, it might be 650, and then if it goes over 800, isn't it?
If it goes over certain levels, he gets a
Yeah.
kick. He gets a
Yeah.
kick back. Yeah. Which
Anyway.
is fair.
And the last
More
thing
power
I've,
to him. More
the
power
last thing
to
I
him.
have to say is this video that we're editing will, for the first time, not be edited on Adobe software.
Dun dun dun.
Also, did you know it was being edited on?
I was going to say, I'm in the
know,
video.
and I'm assuming nobody
I'm
watched
in the
it.
video and I didn't know. So
But it's like, so basically, I used to pay like almost, like I'm going to say almost €70 a month on the Adobe suite.
really?
Yeah.
€70
Dang.
a month.
Yeah.
How did we not know that? Whew, lucky these videos are making loads of money to cover this stuff.
Yeah, that's.
But and
You weren't using just for that. That wasn't why you
no,
had
no.
it.
Though I also had it for work, and it was like there was like if someone sent like basically if you're in the job I am, you need to be able to edit certain files. Okay, certain file types.
You needed it for certain things for your work.
Yeah. So, but I also was using it for this. But then now I've gone and said, okay, I've finally gotten rid of Adobe. Okay, and I have gotten the replacement that's going to be replacing
Adobe for this.
the Adobe Premiere for this is actually a free software
Called.
called Blackmagic Designs.
You think?
No. I forget the name of it. Believe it or not.
And they're the
Because
sponsor of
it's
this
free.
video.
I was going to, I wanted to give them a shout
The
out.
sponsor of this video, and thank you for funding it.
DaVinci Resolve.
Black Magic DaVinci Resolve.
Yeah,
They
No
It's
wonder
basically-
you forgot
you,
that
you
name.
don't say
They
you don't
need
say
to-
that Blackmagic. Basically, DaVinci Resolve.
Oh,
Okay, go back to the marketing
Yeah,
department and figure that
it's
out.
on
Yeah, that's too
DaVinci
long.
Resolve.
Yeah.
It's on DaVinci Resolve, and it's like if I want to buy the because it's free, but there's a professional version that's €240, and I might get that,
Is it €240 and that's it?
and then that's it.
Man, they're dying, aren't they? Companies that let you just buy their software.
But
and
here's
use it.
the kicker. There's another company then, and they are they're called Affinity, and Affinity, when they saw everything that was happening to Adobe, said we offer products that are almost just as good in virtually every way, and we're giving them away for half price now. If you buy now, they're basically kicking Adobe when the Adobe are down.
And Adobe are down because you live,
And Adobe
you're
are down.
You were the only customer they had.
Adobe are down because basically they are going to put up the price again. They definitely are. But as much as I love AI stuff and everything, they were starting to write in all these rules kind of thing. They were starting to write stuff into the contract that anything you did, they now owned and they were allowed to use to train AI programs.
Oh. Well, you can almost take it as a given. Anything you do,
Yeah.
if you put it online,
It's
AI owns it anyway.
Yeah.
Wasn't there a thing? I don't know. I might be misremembering this. Wasn't there a thing where the AI people were like, "Okay, our AI is chewed through every bit of human-created content they can get. Let's let them chew through AI-created content."
Yeah.
And it did not go well.
Well,
No,
yeah.
the snake has eaten its own tail, basically.
Yeah.
But I know why Adobe are putting that in their contract, because Adobe are trying to train their AI models in a kind of a ethical way. So they won't, basically steal all the data on the internet and feed it to their machine like OpenAI are doing and all of the other ones are doing, like Google are doing. But Adobe are trying to we will only put art into our art making AI that we're allowed to. So they're relying on...
Except that, and before this, they weren't stealing art from the people that used Adobe.
Oh, yeah, exactly. I guess
But then
it makes sense if they're
then
going to...
from now on, they will be.
Yeah, but I don't know.
Isn't there a thing as well? Again, I half read stuff. Aren't OpenAI floundering as well at the moment financially? They're
Oh, no. OpenAI are not going to flounder.
no, but they're set to make a massive loss, and they need Microsoft to come in and go, "Here's a lot of money."
That's already happened. Microsoft initially, I think, gave them 1 billion, then they gave them another 2 to make it 3 billion. There you go. And then they gave them 10 billion after that, and that was back in the time of ChatGPT 3.5. Since 4 and everything after, I don't even know. But Microsoft now are at the point where here's a blank check, keep going. And what's more, when there was
is it the sunk cost fallacy?
No, it isn't, because no, the whole AI bubble, who knows, it might burst, because I'm listening to an article the other day where basically someone was saying that, when we see what AI can do now, we're so, oh my God, look what it can do now. Imagine what it can do in 5 years and 10 years. And then there's the element of, what we're seeing it being able to do now is so amazing, and that will incrementally get better. It'll become a better chatbot, but it doesn't necessarily mean that it will somehow go from being a chatbot to going to being artificial general intelligence. So maybe at some point that it will go and become just a bust and a failure and all these things where it won't be a failure because it can do what it can do very well and it'll get better at doing that. But whether it'll end up being AGI, which is what OpenAI are striving for and always have been, and that's what they've always declared, then maybe that will be a bust. But I don't
interesting,
know.
though.
I think, because I know at one point when...
We always end up back at AI.
Yeah, sorry. But when OpenAI had this skirmish there back in, I think, November of last year, and they fired their Sam Altman, basically,
yes.
the head guy there, and it really looked like it was going to split in half, because when Sam Altman was gone, Microsoft immediately swooped in and said, okay, here's a blank check, come with us and just do whatever you want to do, redo a whole other OpenAI company internally to Microsoft, because all Microsoft had was an investment in OpenAI, which is what they all have now. And Sam Altman, loads of people who worked in OpenAI who had openly declared, well, if he's leaving, we're leaving. Like half the staff there were just going to go. They were so loyal to Sam Altman. And ultimately, that's what ended up in Sam Altman being reinstated, and the whole ethos in OpenAI, which was kind of a set up as a non-profit, and then it became a kind of a profit, and that was kind of merged into a hybrid kind of a thing. And Microsoft were only investors. Now they have someone on the board, and it changed up everything. But ultimately, my point is, if anything goes south in OpenAI, the OpenAI people will live on and do what they're doing with an even bigger checkbook from Microsoft than they have. So that definitely, I wouldn't say they're struggling at all. Yeah. In fact, they're looking for the biggest kind of a investment, I guess, ever sought by any company in the history of capitalism. I think it's something like 8 trillion. And I mean, that amount of money is, I don't even know when companies are, looking for funding and they're looking for investors and they say a number and that's how much they want, it's usually in the billions. But to go into the trillions,
they're looking for people to come in and invest all of their billions.
Well, yeah,
like a trillion.
Trillions. Like, it's ridiculous.
Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos could both invest every cent they have, and it'd be a drop in the ocean to what they're looking for.
I don't know what the heck they think they're doing, but then because they're like, this is where we're going now for the future. Like they're talking, just build nuclear power plants to fund to give them the power they need.
Yeah.
Get all the chips that they
They're
need.
talking about building nuclear power plants.
But anyway, so that's where OpenAI is going. They're not going in the Swanee anywhere near.
Yeah, no, I didn't say they were.
No, but
anyway.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, I forgot. We were here to talk about the main topic of the day.
The main topic. Let's refresh our listeners.
For those of you still with us.
What is the main topic again? Barry.
Religion. Do I win a prize?
Yeah.
Eternal life?
Good question. So who will kick off?
Well, I want to start with one question.
Go on.
And I'm going to ask you both, and I'll start with you, Barry. Are you a God-fearing man, Barry?
Okay, so when we were talking about religion, one of the things I was thinking of was that it's not quite echo chambery, but the thing is, the three of us grew up in the same village, in the same country, in the same religion, and in an area where there was no other religions.
So we're all
It was
good
homogenous.
Christians.
It was homogenous, and we were all raised as Roman Catholics. We all went to church. We all did our first confession, our first communion, our what's the English for cognac? Confirmation. I've baptized my children. My child is going to a Catholic school. So my entire life has had religion in it. And the thing about whether or not I'm a God-fearing man is it's actually a kind of, it's not a yes or no question for me, because you ask me today and I go, yeah, I do. And then other days I'd be like, no. So for me, and I think a lot of people that grew up in the 80s Ireland or earlier, anyone that grew up in religion, I suppose, it's a complicated relationship. It's I definitely have a spiritual side to me that kind of thinks there's something. You know, when you look at the patterns and you look at how beautiful and complex our the entire universe is, it's nice to think that there's something that went, let's put it all together. You know, so that's kind of my answer on it. It's sort of maybe.
Okay.
Donald?
Me, I'm 100% clear on this. Am I a God-fearing man? No. Am I a guy that believes in that there's... Do you ever hear the ex nihilo est is like out of nothing comes nothing?
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, I believe that there is a creator. As in, and I say that because we're here. Okay? Yeah?
But eventually he stopped paying his monthly subscriptions and
No.
Seen him since.
As in, something created everything. Okay? And then that's it. You cannot say anything else.
Okay, so you're very data-driven.
Well, I mean, yes, data-driven, more logic-driven type of thing, you know.
Okay, I
And then
kind of have a vague grasp on what you're...
Uno reverse card the question.
Okay. Well, I'm going to say I think you can't disconnect this question from our previous topic of are we living in a simulation?
Yeah.
Because as Donald says, we're here, therefore something created us, be it intelligent or some physical, what's the word? Kind of a interaction of the universe that just happened to make matter come about, or some alien pressed the big red button on the start the simulation.
Yeah, but who made the alien?
It's turtles all the way down.
I don't know.
Yeah, look at we're mortal, simple organisms, and our brains cannot. There's things that our brains cannot fathom. The size of the universe, the number infinity. We just can't get our head around these things. And I feel like when I think about this too much, it hurts my head. But obviously, if we're talking about religion and we go back and we say, why religion? I suppose that kind of has to be the kind of fundamental question. Why does religion exist? That has to be kind of the...
Okay. Before we go into why does religion exist and think of that, let's go back a few steps and kind of establish a few terms. Sorry, I hit the mic there. Mm-hmm. So I've written a thing here. What is religion? Okay. And this is just literally stuff we got off the internet. But I mean, it's correct. Okay. As in...
Because the internet never...
No, I was going to say, it's not that it's correct.
What you mean
it's
is
just
it gives us something to talk about.
Yeah.
Go.
So look, what is religion? A particular system of faith and worship.
Well, yeah, what I was going to say, just to delineate something here.
Yeah.
Because as Barry said, and this is an equally valid criticism of every episode we make, we're from the same background. We're, roughly the same age.
Yeah.
From the same,
Very homogenous.
Yeah, exactly. So all of our interesting
using that word
topics...
right?
I have no idea.
Anyway, we're the same,
Yes.
more or less.
We
We grew up in the same bubble, pretty much. Three of us have had different life experiences, for sure, 100%. But yeah, we've come
similar
from,
enough compared to the entire mass of humanity on Earth,
Yes.
that we don't bring that much of a divergence of opinion or perspective to any of the topics that we talk about. Yeah. So I guess that's equally valid here. But I was going to say, if we're talking about religion, at least in my mind, We're not talking about, Catholicism or Islam or, Judaism or Church of the Flying Spaghetti Monster. We're just generally talking about religion in principle.
Yeah.
Okay.
So basically, what is religion? A particular system of faith and worship, and it is also can be defined as B, a pursuit of interest followed with great devotion,
I'm getting nothing out of this.
or C, the belief in worship of a superhuman powers, especially God or gods. So basically, maybe you're getting nothing from it, but this is
It's religion.
that's what religion is. Yeah, because we could start talking about religion and go off on all of our tangents, and then for all the other people who are listening to,
Okay. I have another question for you, and I'll start with you, Donald. What is the difference between a religion and a cult?
I would say a religion is simply an acceptable cult. I don't know, but that's what I would say.
Yeah, that sounds fair.
Yeah. I would say when I was in college, I actually studied religion as part of my social science thingy. And I was curious about this and I looked into it. And all I could come up with in a more pragmatic, nuts and bolts difference is time.
Yeah.
If you set up a cult today, and if it's around in 1,000 years, it's a religion.
Yeah.
If you set up a cult today and everybody, kills themselves invariably, then, it was only a cult.
Yeah.
That's pretty much the only difference. So, I completely agree with you. It's just legitimacy. I just found that so intriguing. And, yeah.
Was that a reference to Kool-Aid, was it?
Or a million others, but yeah.
They were, most of them were, well, I think pretty much all of them were forced.
Really?
Yeah. Most of them wanted to get out, but they were held
Drink
at
the
gunpoint.
Kool-Aid.
Oh.
Yeah.
Was that Jim Jones? Was it?
Yeah.
Can I say something about cults?
Yeah.
They're
They're missing one letter. They should take out the L and put in an N.
Well, I'm going to say, to me, religion is, or should I say, religion comes out of, because if you remember now, religion, as far as we know, anthropologically speaking, every humanity since the dawn of man and women has always had
Dawn of humanity.
has always had religions, has always worshipped something. And so religion is that inbuilt into our psyche, and it doesn't matter which religion, but it's always been there. And I almost feel that that's more to do with people. Everyone seems to feel the need to want someone to tell them the answers.
Yeah.
And it's so much easier to just...
Yeah, and it's also something like back when you had like a 60-year lifespan and it was spent toiling day in and day out and day in and just to survive, that the thought that when you die you go to a paradise.
Or it gives it meaning.
That's pretty ubiquitous across most religions. I don't know if there's any that don't have a concept of heaven or equivalent. But it's that I think that filled a fundamental need that people had, and also for you go back far enough into the pagan religions and stuff like that to explain things like storms and winter and spring and summer and the sun comes up and the sun goes down. Thanks be to Ra. It's the people needed that, like you said, answers to things that they just could not get their head around. And it filled that fundamental need of answering the questions, but also, look at you're toiling day in and day out, and you're breaking your back, and you've got pains and you can't fix them. But don't worry, when you die, all those pains will be gone, and you'll be in paradise. And
that's
then
the blackbird from what's that? The Animal Farm. He was telling all the other animals, "Hey, when you die, you go to Sugar Candy Mountain. It's all going to be okay."
Yeah, and then I suppose as humanity developed, religion became a way of controlling people. I think it was Stalin that said that religion is the opium of the people. It keeps them docile. You're not going to do an uprising if doing that uprising means doing a sin, and then you're going to go to hell. And you've got to come.
You
to
can't
church
kill someone.
I guess that's what I find fascinating about religions is. Again, I guess I'm going to admit that I don't know all the ins and outs of Islam or Judaism or any of other religions really. Raised a Catholic, that's kind of what you learned in school, and then you, in my opinion, find out, oh wait, that's all bullshit, and then you're kind of left with some loose end of, maybe there's something spiritual somewhere, but that's about the size of it. But so many religions are just, oh wait, that's just a person saying that's how you should be. What the hell does he know that I don't know? Why can't I say how I should be or how things should be? Kind of, they're a man-made invention, not any kind of a coming from a magical answers book kind of thing.
Well, but you're saying they're a man-made invention, person-made invention. But unless you're a Catholic, for example, because then they're not man-made, they're from God.
No.
That's your belief. If
Yeah,
you
that's your
believe
belief.
No. Okay, well, let's just quickly stamp that one down hard because
Well, this is where I will be able to have a bone to pick, and we're not all agreeing exactly with each other. But go on.
yeah, because I'm going to say, and this comes down to the world we live in today, right? Anyone who says, "Well, that's my truth," no, there is no your truth. There is the truth, and maybe you're right and I'm wrong. But if we're differing on an objective fact, one of us is friggin' wrong, and let's settle on that before we start going anywhere.
Yeah.
So if I say there is no God, and a Christian says, "Oh yeah, there is," because I believe in one.
just because you believe in something.
Yeah, maybe you're full of shit and I'm totally right, or maybe I'm totally wrong. Do you know what I mean?
Or option C, maybe both of you are absolutely correct.
How? And I agree. If you're going to go into the fantastic realms of there's everyone's opinion is a subjective world and equally valid, and we're all brains and vats or something like that, then you can start making that point be true. But other than grasping at the most extreme straws, explain to me, how could both of us be right?
You see, here's the thing. You know the way if someone said, if I went down to the shop and I was getting a pizza, and I said, "Mart, what kind of pizza do you like? What's your favorite pizza?"
Yeah, I'm going to say pepperoni. Just keep it
Okay,
easy.
so let's say I go up to another person, Barry. No,
I'm gonna get a ham and pineapple, please.
okay, Mart.
Well, obviously Barry's wrong. There's no
But you
conversation
understand,
over.
Barry is right. You're right.
No.
No.
You asked me what I like, and
Yeah.
well, sorry, we are both correct, but our statements are not conflicting.
Yeah.
So, okay, good. We're established that
Okay.
that's where we are.
Because Barry says I like this, and you say I like this.
Yes.
But the like is I believe I like this.
No. If Barry said I like this, as in he believes he likes it, and I believe I like what I believe I like, they're still not conflicting.
Exactly. No. Exactly.
So keep going.
Yeah.
Okay. So then, instead of believing that ham and pineapple is the best, or believing that pepperoni is the best,
No, you changed his words now. And none of us said it was
No.
the best. We said it was our favorite. Or we like it.
favorite, or you see,
And I just didn't mind for it to be the devil's advocate.
yeah, I know, yeah.
In case
But
anyone
look,
wants to cancel
my
me.
point
I do
is,
like pineapple
my
on
point
pizza.
is, everybody has the way I see the world. Okay, and I might be totally wrong, and I don't know if this is going the right direction for this. What is religion? But the way my understanding of the world is, everybody has their own opinion, obviously, and it's influenced by other people's opinions, but their belief is their world.
Correct.
Okay.
There is. I think you were going to the phrase that I would use as perception is reality.
Yeah.
And it is to a point. But then
I
there's a
would say-
point where that reality gets smashed in the face by a rock.
No, but it's, you see, this reminds me of the person that I heard about. I read this article about a person who believed in Russia. He believed that he could stop a train. Okay. So
Okay.
what did he do?
Stood in front of a train and got smashed and died.
Yeah. Up to the point that he got smashed and died, he believed he could stop the train.
Yes.
So in his mind, he was correct.
Yeah. But we're not talking about in anyone's mind because that's a subjective perception.
No, but no, wait. Here's the thing, Mart. There is nothing outside of your mind.
Okay, well, at least now we've agreed.
From the point of view of what your mind believes.
Okay, so there's two different things we're talking about here. Firstly, there is objective reality and subjective perception of that reality. Okay, there is nothing outside your mind except your own perception of reality. We can both agree on that, right?
Yeah. And Barry, you'd agree with that.
Oh yeah.
But
Stay with us, Barry.
this is where
try
it
it.
gets. This is where
If we're losing Barry,
It's okay. Carry on.
no, but if we're losing Barry, we're losing people. But go on.
Okay, well, we can't talk about religion without going into the weeds.
Yeah.
So there is subjective perception of reality, and then you can deny that there's objective reality and claim all of the world and everything that's considered real by anyone is all just subjective to each individual. That's one position that you can adopt. Or you can say there is an objective reality, and then there's each individual's subjective perception of that reality. I think that's what you're doing here. A man believes he can stand in front of a train and the train won't hurt him. he has that subjective perception of reality. Now, you can say, up until the train hit him, he was right. But no, because the minute the train hit him, that is the moment that the rubber hit the road on his belief of reality and whether it would meet and agree with or disagree with objective reality.
Yeah.
The train flattened him, it disagreed with him.
But
that
you know-
means that he was wrong,
Yeah.
not just in the moment the train hit him. It means that his belief that the train was not going to hurt him was
the
wrong
moment
the
he
whole entire
perceived
time.
it. Yeah,
Yeah.
from the moment he perceived that truth.
So I would say if somebody says, I believe in God, I'm going to say, maybe God exists and maybe God doesn't exist. And by God, I mean any God of any religion. I don't know. But there's one thing I will say. If God exists, they exist. And if God doesn't exist, and someone says they believe in God, they are wrong. That's an objective thing.
Yeah,
now, it
but
may
wait-
never be measured. because
Yeah,
we'll never
no,
prove it,
exactly. So just to recap here, you said if there is a God and if the person also says I believe in the God, then the person is correct.
Yes.
But if there is no God and if the person says I believe in a God, then the person is wrong.
Yes.
Okay?
Yep.
What you're saying makes perfect logical sense. Mm-hmm. Now, because there's no way to ever find out if there's a God, okay, what is your conclusion therefore?
My conclusion is this. There have been, and anthropologists kind of estimate this, right? There have been 18,000 gods that humans believed in the history of humanity, right? So, and it's Richard Dawkins phrased it like this. He was like, hey, you're calling me an atheist because I don't believe in your God. Well, I call you an atheist for the 17,999 other gods that you don't believe in. You're just picking one and saying, I believe in this one. All the other ones are wrong.
Yeah.
And he's kind of saying, well, where is that coming from? And Dawkins will always point out, it's coming from how you were raised. We were raised Catholic, so we're told, hey, there's the Catholic God. That's the real one. All the other ones are fake. But the people who are telling us that are just being raised in it. They don't know any more than we know about it.
Yeah.
And the real question, I'm sure you know this because you're
Ricky
a man who
Gervais
did...
used that as a joke as well. It was brilliant.
Sorry, what?
Ricky Gervais used the whole, there have been 18,000 gods.
Oh, he's done a whole show on religion. Yeah, it was brilliant. But I was going to say, Donald, as a man who studied philosophy, you know about Russell's teapot.
Yeah.
I'll recount it here just
Please.
to fill us all in,
'Cause
right?
now I want a cup of tea and a pizza.
Bertrand Russell is, I think he was a philosopher who said back in the day, hey, people who tell me that there is a God and, it can't be falsified because, as you say, Donald, you can't prove that there is no God, right?
You can't prove an absence or something.
Yeah, you can't prove the absence of something yet.
Yeah.
So but what he said is, okay, what if I turned to you and said, there is a teapot and it's floating in space between Earth and Mars, but it's so small that all of the modern telescopes that we have, this is back before Hubble and all those, just can't
James
pick
Webb,
it up.
catch up.
Yeah, they can't pick it up. So his point was, if I tell you there is a teapot and it's in space and it's there, but it can't be detected by any of our measuring instruments at this stage, now it's up to you to prove me wrong, or else my claim is equally valid as your claim that there's a God. Pick whatever one you like and say, that one. And, that's his point, that because you can't make a unfalsifiable claim and then put it forth as being in any way valid. Sorry, don't go on.
So here's the thing, okay? When we're talking about, let's say it starts raining. If it starts raining, it takes a particular type of sensory perception. In other words, your skin has to be a certain type of skin, and your eyes have to be a certain type of eyes, and your nose has to be a certain type of nose to not notice it's raining, if it's raining.
Okay.
Yeah? So in other words, it's more obvious to us. Okay?
When it's raining and when it's not raining.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If we're hungry, same thing. Okay? Now, with that said, are there people that could stand out in the rain and it would rain on them and they wouldn't notice it?
I'm going to say probably yeah.
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 Okay.
Yeah?
Yeah.
There are people who don't feel pain and it's very dangerous for them because they could put their hand on the hot stove and they wouldn't notice it. And then they try to lift their hand and it's stuck to the hot stove. So their world has a certain belief system. What they see is a certain belief system. Their understanding is formed in a certain way.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
The problem with the teapot thing, not the problem, but it's where Bernard Russell would say, like, Donald, you're simply wrong, I think. is with the teapot thing. If Bernard Russell said, there's a tiny teapot out there. If you said, I believe that there's a tiny teapot out there, then for everyone else on earth that knows that there isn't really, then you're wrong. Okay?
But again, I guess...
But for the person that believes that the teapot is out there, then to them, they're correct.
Yes, but I think the point that Bertrand Russell was trying to make is anyone can make an unfalsifiable claim and lay it up there with equal validity as the claim that there's a particular God. And that's almost pointing out the weakness of a claim that there's a particular God. So if you say, hey, somebody might say that they believe there's a teapot, yes, that just means that they are as, equally probably incorrect as someone who claims there's a God. But I think to come back to your thing, sorry, Barry, I can see, but I just want to go back to what you were saying, Donald, about some people have a sensory perception where they might not detect rain, for example. Let's say a human was born tomorrow who has this extra perception where they can see into the spirit realm and they can just see, they've evolved and can see, and they can see that there is actual God, and they can see it, and they invent scientific measurements that we can measure and prove it. Now it's provable. I'm going to just say this fantastical hypothesis is to say, right now, everyone who says they believe in God, or who does believe in God, they're making that, I'm going to say, leap of faith based on no empirical evidence or data at all.
They'd say it's just faith.
Yeah. And what you're saying is a person who doesn't feel rain, to them, the rain isn't real because they don't feel it. Well, I would say no. We have measuring instruments that they don't have. Our eyes can see the rain. Our skin can feel the rain. Theirs can't. So if they say, hey, rain isn't real to me because I don't feel it, well, yeah, no, it's not real to you because you can't measure it. But that doesn't make the rain not real.
Yeah, it doesn't make the stove not hot.
Yeah, it just makes your ability to see it or measure it.
But if I speak to someone and I can speak to people who are like they're simply 100% religious. They don't think that God exists. Obviously God exists. Do you understand?
Which is to say they believe it.
Yeah. They believe in God.
So if I say God isn't God, if I say there isn't in fact a man with an actual fine beard, literally, who sits up in the sky, they'll say, no, you're wrong, Donald.
Yeah, but there's a clash there of thought processes. If you, and I know, by the way, my failure here, I'm looking at this logically and scientifically, and someone says, yes, but you're not doing the leap of faith. That's where you're missing. Well, yeah, that is what I'm missing, and I acknowledge that.
Well, that's it.
Yeah.
But I will look at it.
Yeah,
so
that's
let's move on to other religious-y stuff. Like, is it good? Is it bad? All that sort of stuff. Where do we stand on that?
Yeah, is religion a force for good in the world? Sorry, go on.
Another thing I had thought of is, we'll go back a little bit to the whole, let's call it the supreme creator, or just a creator, right? So say there was a creator and he did come along and say, right, here's my little experiment today. I'm going to make this planet. I'm going to put the building blocks here, and I know that for me, in a few seconds' time, there'll be people, and it'll be cool. And off he goes on his travels, whatever it is else he's doing on that day. But he leaves little bits of evidence of him being there, kind of thing. And proto-people, maybe even before Homo sapiens, saw these kind of hints, but they couldn't articulate what it was. So they came up with this, well, it's the sun is a god, the moon is another god, the sea is a god, the woods, the trees, everything is gods. And then that coalesced with people who were like, well, that's too many gods. Can't remember all their names. And they started condensing them down. So we'll have a god of war, we'll have a god of love, we'll have and then there are still too many, it's awkward, how do you should have just one church. And they came up with this idea of one god. And because we've already stated, pretty much every single civilization has worshipped something at some point. They all had this idea of a god, independently, of gods or a god. And they all coalesced it into one god. Some of them did. Some of them kept them multi-gods and all that. So they have this idea that something created them. Everybody has that almost in their DNA. They come up with this idea independently and coalesce it. So if there is a creator, oh man, I had a really good argument or a really good point in my head.
Well, I thought I was seeing where you're going there.
Yeah.
There's an innate, how is it that the concept of a god, whether it's not from one particular, has repeatedly come up separately in multiple different tribes and civilizations and peoples repeatedly so often that you'd almost think, well, there's got to be something there other than just, well, they're wrong.
Randomness.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Because the thing like what's that ratio? The golden ratio. Do you know what that is?
Actually,
Yeah.
don't know.
There's a golden ratio. It occurs all over the place in nature. And
Oh,
everything.
that
It's-
Fibonacci sequence thing.
that thing that occurs so often, and even right down to the genetic coding of people, it appears there, and it's just all over the place. And it seems to me like that. Yeah, I mean, it could be just randomness that just happens to happen in life, in all sorts of forms of life, and all that kind of stuff. But also, like if there was a supreme being, say, and he had godlike powers,
But he still would have done copy paste a few times.
but like he knew how to make life. So he saw this planet and he thought, oh, you know what? If I put the seeds here, it'll grow and it'll do. But he's traveling through this massive multiverse, maybe, or just even the universe that we live in is so huge. And he just comes and does that and buggers off. But because of the way he does it, he leaves that sort of trace of himself there, or themselves there, and it becomes Mother Nature. It becomes God. It becomes.
Yeah, I think I talked about that in the simulation episode we did last time, saying, hey, see, this is a lot of copy pasting. This indicates that there could be a simulation. But
Yeah.
I mean, it could be a lot of could be that too.
Yeah. So that's just something that came into my head that the way that all those gods could be just one god,
Oh yeah,
or supreme being or whatever you want to call it. Like,
I think that there's an innate need. Like, again, just to go and talk about one of our other previous episodes, in the meaning of life, I think we all concluded roughly the same. I can't really remember, but it was like, effectively, life has no inherent meaning built into it. It only has whatever meaning you imbue on it, and therefore, go and make your life meaningful, and that's the point. Mm-hmm. Not that you have to do something great and grand, but just make it worthwhile. That's
live long and prosper.
And if you accept that, now, if you believe in God, then the meaning of life is live a good life, go to heaven, and do whatever other things that God tells you to do. But if you don't believe in God, then life has no inherent meaning. Now, I'm making a leap. There's a bunch of other answers that you could throw in there. But let's say that. If life has no inherent meaning, then all the peoples since humans started thinking are going to be looking for meaning in their life. As you say, Barry, they're toiling in the fields and they're, what's the point of it all? And if it's unbearable to think there is no point. So you want some kind of a reason. And people do need to be guided.
Yeah, guidance, yeah. And also, when you, again, back to the people toiling in the fields 10,000 years ago or whatever it was, their child dies or their parent dies. I suppose there's that comfort as well of thinking, well, now they're in a better place. They've toiled and suffered and been sick and for this long, and now they're at peace, and they're in whatever their equivalent of heaven was, or whatever their belief system.
But I think that's a coping mechanism.
It's a coping mechanism,
and I think these traits are innate in humans. That searching for meaning, but also that looking for guidance, and a coping mechanism for unbearable, unthinkable things that you just have to deal with. And that innate human mechanisms will inevitably produce the concept of some God to believe in. And there's always some other human quick to step in and take advantage of those traits in people.
Eventually there was. I think initially there wouldn't have been.
Well, I'm sure the elder of the village, who was the wise sage, who whatever tells everyone what to do. Yeah, he's living a handier life than the sucker out in the field.
No, I think if you go back far enough, he was out in the fields as well. He was toiling just as hard as everyone else. Eventually, yes.
Yeah, okay. I guess the cynical...
The cynical part of humanity, eventually, they're going to figure out a way, hey, I don't have to go out and toil in the fields if I just tell them, give me 10% of your vegetables.
What's interesting, Barry, is from that point of view, somewhere along the way, I'm going to say there was an ape, somewhere along the way, that said, wait a second, there's more to us than, there's more to life than this.
Yeah.
When you think about it.
Yeah,
there was a thing that was not a human, probably.
Or maybe it was something even simpler. Maybe it was something even simpler, like when people started becoming more self-aware, that they went, hey, I said a prayer last night because I don't know where that big ball of light went when I was tired. And the big ball was going away, and I was like, "Oh no, the big ball's going away! Some power or something stopped the big ball." And eventually, I said it long enough, and the big ball came back, and now we have bright sunshine again. So me saying that caused that to happen.
Superstitions get created that way,
and then it rolls and rolls, and and of course, things like winters and longer nights and stuff like that would have had the early thinkers going, oh, what the hell?
But I think, Barry, you asked a question earlier. Is religion a force for good?
Yes.
Is it?
For the most part, I think, yeah, it is. I mean, look at nowadays, we see so much horrible stuff that religions are 100% at fault for. The amount of wars, the amount of people that have died simply because of religion is absolutely ridiculous. And of course, the different churches hiding historical sex abuse and all that stuff, or child abuse, obviously really, really awful. And I'm not going to justify any of that because it's absolutely horrible and they deserve to be hung, drawn and quartered over it. But I think for the most part, most religions seem to be preaching peace and love. And I think true followers of those religions, whether it be Catholicism, Judaism, Islam, whatever it is, if they follow the actual tenets of their religion, the world would be a pretty
New
good place.
Testament, not Old Testament.
But yeah, well, I mean, like, if you
Leave out the bad
if you
bits.
follow this, like, if you go again, Roman Catholic, we were raised in Roman Catholic, and I haven't read the whole Bible, but I have read a lot of it. I honestly believe that the Catholic religion can be boiled down to a single commandment. Now, I know there's 10 of them.
Don't be a dick.
It's actually do not steal. Everything boils down to do not steal. So don't steal.
Saved a lot of etching and stone if they just.
Yeah, they would have
to the
saved.
chase.
They would have saved a lot of work. Because when you think about it, like, if you're murdering, you're stealing someone's life. If you're not honouring your father and mother, you're stealing their honour. If you're
Maybe that's why, and I'm not joking here. Maybe
if you're
that's why there's
stealing
10 of them, just to elaborate.
Yeah,
They
it's an
elaborate on
elaboration.
each other.
It's elaboration, yeah. But like, I mean, if you're stealing something, then you're stealing something.
Well, one thing I'm going to say and now we're talking about a specific religion, the Catholic God,
Mm-hmm.
and we're talking about Moses coming down from the Mount Sinai with his 2 stone tablets, if we're going to go there. The Christian God, at least according to that book, he's putting these real important things in, like, don't kill someone, right? Don't, cheat on your wife, but also, you be loyal to me, you're not allowed to look at anyone else. I mean, calm down, God. If you're that good, you don't have to be also, what's the word, unconfident about yourself.
Yeah.
Jeez. It's like, imagine if you're dating a girl and then she's like, you're not allowed to look at any other woman.
Yeah.
Well, calm down. It's red flag straight away,
yeah,
right?
red flag. Yeah, red flag.
Yeah, but I wouldn't looking at those stone tablets of Moses going, geez, thou shalt
honor the
not have
Sabbath.
fault idols.
that
Calm
day,
down.
because he gets 2. He got 2, didn't he?
I don't know. But
It's like honor him and honor his day as well.
yeah, I mean, and he left out a lot of other stuff.
He did.
Thou shalt not sexually abuse children. No,
Yeah,
no
that's-
space there. No space, sorry.
I think that was covered in Mel Brooks. I think it was The History of the World, where
Really?
Moses comes down and he's like, I bring to you these 3 tablets, and one of the tablets slips and breaks. And I bring to you these 2 tablets. I think that other tablet probably had the other stuff on it, or maybe he didn't turn. Maybe the rest of them were on the back.
Oh, nobody
And
knew that he did duplex carving.
Yeah, duplex carving. He didn't look. So yeah, there's definitely other stuff that should be on there.
Here's a question, guys. Here's a question. What's an atheist?
Well,
As in, this is my question before the next
if
question.
I go into the Latin of it, a theist is theism pertaining to a god, and an atheist is one who is without. So just without religion. But I think in the more common parlance, it's more meaning just to be actively not believing in a god.
So here's my thing. Is everyone... I don't know if I'm being picked up on the mic. I'm slouching, sorry. So is everyone religious? Or is anyone not religious? Same thing, obviously.
Well, for starters, not everyone's religious. I think we can definitely say that because Richard Dawkins doesn't believe in any god. He's pretty damn sure about that.
But what does Richard... Sorry, Barry, go on.
I was going to say, and it pertains to what I was talking about before about religions and they being, if you follow the tenets of the religion, where it breaks down, of course, is when people become fundamental and when they start reading bits out and picking and choosing the important bits for themselves. And that includes atheists, because some atheists are fundamentalist atheists. And the ones who are very, vehemently, not just a-religious, but they're vehemently anti-religious as well. You know, and for whatever reason that they have, whether it be because they want people to be more enlightened, and you know, they truly believe that if we were able to cast off the yoke of religion, that we'd be able to move forward a lot better. And there is probably some truth in that.
Well, I'm going to say this much, right?
Yeah.
The Roman Empire existed for a long time, as you know.
Yeah.
And then it fell. And when it did, it didn't just like collapse overnight. You know, it was falling for a long, long time. But after it eventually just was gone, we had like 800 years of the Dark Ages. This is like as if friggin' in The Last of Us or something, you know, they're seeing all these ancient ruins of these giant walls or big, huge statues, and there's these farmers scrabbling in the dirt looking at those thinking, wow, what gods could have built those things? That's kind of, because if you look at recent human history, you got this natural inclination of, wow, technology is always getting better. And you're just seeing this line that's constantly trajectory upwards until AI and AGI and the world. No, this could all end in like 8 minutes.
Yeah.
And just we're back to the Stone Age again.
Yeah.
And that has happened before. And it's happened, and sorry, but the point I'm making, if you kind of talk about the effect of religion on scientific progression, and 800 years where they burned, not just burned books because they have knowledge in them, they burned any thinker because they had knowledge in their head. And set us back. Like if it wasn't for the Dark Ages, we'd.
No, I don't think historians call it that anymore, but okay.
Oh, yeah,
I know what you mean. They weren't
the medieval era.
Yeah, I think it was the mid-medieval era, the late medieval era, the early, or something like that. They have a name on it. Because it wasn't as dark as people.
Well, maybe it wasn't as dark, but it was certainly, hey, burn them books. They've got words on them.
Yeah.
And, you know, if it wasn't for, if you just think, here we are now, and where will we be in 800 years? Well, presuming we don't nuke ourselves, which we probably will, but if we don't, you know, we'll have moon bases on them, you know, flying and over to other solar systems and stuff. Yeah, we would be doing that now if it wasn't for 800 years of just
missing stuff.
You know,
yeah.
Thanks, Catholic Church.
Yeah. Yeah. That was another one from the Ricky Gervais thing when he was talking about religion. He was saying if you take all the religious books, all of them, and burn them, and wipe out all the knowledge of religions, in 100 years, they're still going to be gone. Whereas if you take all the science books and burn all of those and burn all scientific knowledge, we'll eventually have them all back because they're all scientifically provable things, which means that as soon as someone starts thinking about it again, they'll figure it out again. It's like, what's the boiling point of this liquid I have here? What do they call it again? Water?
Yeah.
And then they'll figure that out, and then they'll know, oh, water boils at 100 degrees.
One thing I like, actually, and this is just total now diss on religion, disrespectfully, but it was I saw a picture of it was called The Bible, a.k.a. The Goat Herder's Guide to the Galaxy. But just when you said earlier, Barry, about hope, because this is how I see religions generally. You were saying how there's a lot of horrible stuff that's happened recently with, you know, you can point at 9/11, you can point at the Charlie Hebdo thing or whatever, and you can, but you can look at the Crusades, you can go back as far as you want in human. Yeah. But I actually think it's unfair, because Richard Dawkins will say, that's all religion's fault. If there was no religion, none of that would happen.
No, I didn't say that.
No, I know you didn't. I'm saying that's what Richard Dawkins never said.
Because we will find a reason.
Yeah, but I think what it is
it's tribalism.
Tribalism, exactly.
100% tribalism.
I think people are tribal, and there's always the other, and there's always someone wanting to control others. So that innate need to seek for meaning, kind of seek guidance, and there's always someone willing to step in and provide it. And that's where cults come from. And that's where people are always going to end up with, you know, if you want to solidify and Trump is the perfect case of that right now.
No, someone's going to take that. They're going to take a voice thing of you saying Trump is perfect.
Yeah. But
Trump is the perfect.
No, but he's a perfect example of, you know, kind of what is that movie? There's some movie.
Idiocracy.
That's perfect. I'm not going to go there because I can't remember the name of it. But ultimately, where you can rally up a people,
a mob,
by making them see another group as the other, and use tribalism to elevate yourself to a position where, you know,
you don't want to be like them guys over there.
There is an other. They're a danger to you.
Yeah.
Luckily, I'm here and I have the answers and I can save you. And that mechanism exists in humans, whether there's religion or no.
Well, true. But I think if you go back, you know, again to medieval times, say 1,000 years ago, whatever, if someone said that, then people would be like, yes, what are we going to do? And that person better be able to say, well, we're going to go over there. Whereas if it was a Trump-esque leader back in them days, he'd say, well, I'm not going to tell you what I'm going to do, but it's going to be the best plan you've ever heard, the greatest plan. We're going to...
Yeah, people would
dead.
believe it.
Yeah, but he'd be dead very quickly because those guys are on their way. They're coming with their swords and
Oh,
shields.
yeah.
You guys are standing around with nothing. It's, yeah.
I have a question, right? And this is kind of going back to the thing I was saying. What's the religion where you believe or do you know of the religion where you say nothing can be said of the world because nothing can be said of the world except that there was a creator?
I have no idea. Sorry.
Say that again?
As in, if you believe in a creator,
Yeah.
but that's all you can say.
All right. Okay. And then what?
No, I don't know. But you're telling us there is such a religion, which there probably is, but
Yeah. I basically, here's what I'm asking. If there's an atheist that doesn't believe in God, what do they believe in? Like, what's their explanation for
well, I
this?
would consider myself close enough to being an atheist at least, if not just an atheist.
Yeah.
No,
So
because
what's your explanation for
I think
this?
like we have the universe. It's there. I believe it's objective, so it's still there when I close my eyes.
Yeah.
It'll be there when I die. I can have a perception of it, and that perception might be wrong and it might be right. But there is an objective existence outside my perception. I think that's very important to point out. And, you know, I don't know what put it there. Maybe it's a simulation. I really consider that a possibility. Maybe there's a god who snapped his fingers and made it appear 5 minutes ago. Maybe, you know, he hid the dinosaur bones to trick us, or I don't know what. Do you know what I mean?
Bill Hicks.
Like, really, I don't know, but it's there, and that's an objective fact that's measurable by science, and that's good enough for me. And people will sometimes religious people will say, then religion is your science. But I would counter that by just saying, really, science isn't a religion like, you know, a lot of the world's religions are classified as religions, because religions are prescriptive, here's the world and here's the way it is. Science is kind of explorative, let's investigate and find out what it is. And this is the big one, it's self-correcting.
Yeah.
If science finds out, oh wait, we thought that there was this invisible thing called ether in between the stars, and now we realize there isn't. And right now they think that there's black matter out there.
Yeah.
They're going to probably find out later, oh wait, that's not there, it's totally something
I
different.
just
But
really
they'll
hope
find
they
that out and
don't
fix it.
disprove the theory of gravity, because I don't want to be floating up off the planet.
Yeah, so I think an atheist is just someone who doesn't prescribe or subscribe to a particular religion. And I don't think science is a religion, so I don't think that counts.
But is there any
Unless you're a
explanation?
Scientologist.
Is there any explanation for, like, would an atheist have any explanation for where the world came from?
No, but you see, I'm only going to speak for myself.
Yeah,
There's loads of unexplained things that science can't explain. So science will shrug its shoulders and go,
Well, yeah, but they'll do it with the caveat, I don't know yet.
yeah.
You see, but we're saying, like, let's say we don't know yet how to make a
Matter transport unit.
matter transport unit. I believe that that'll happen eventually. But that's different to we don't know what the creator of the universe is yet. And if we do, who created that creator?
And I suppose science can't say what was there before the Big Bang
Yeah.
yet.
Yeah, but then when it does, then what came before that?
Well, that's the next question. And
Yeah.
that's science never stops asking questions. Religion is great at saying, these are all the answers and you don't need to ask any more questions. Just believe what I'm telling you. Whereas
that's interesting,
science is
That's
more,
interesting, actually. Yeah, I suppose,
we
yeah.
don't know everything, but we're going to try and figure it out because, hey, it's super interesting.
But I don't think there's any serious science that's trying to figure out what came before the Big Bang or what's outside the universe, simply because all of our measurement systems are inside the universe.
Yeah.
And just you have no visibility or
Yet.
exactly. And you
And
know,
I think that's a wonderful thing about science is that it's not permeable. It's the word you said, self-correcting. It's changeable.
Yeah.
Things are provable until they're not provable, and
Yeah.
then they prove something else.
Okay, because I actually genuinely find that very interesting. That to me, a huge thing would be if someone says, like, you know, because it's a big thing. It's a big comparison between the people who are wrong according to science have a fuller answer to the world than the people who, or have answers to the bigger questions, maybe. As in, the people who are religious have answers to the bigger questions than the non-religious people would be. They wouldn't have answer to the biggest questions necessarily, or maybe.
Depends on the definition of the big question, like if it's philosophical or logical or scientific.
I mean, it's a valid thing to think of. Would you rather be like, you know, a super smart scientist who's doing all the research and figuring out all the stuff, and then your dog dies and you're never going to see him again? Or be religious and your dog dies and think, oh, I can't wait till I go and see him again. Yeah. You know, I don't know which one's
then
the right
one. Then you start going down the thing of, do dogs have souls?
Yeah.
I looked that up before, you know, and not do dogs have souls, but there is a passage in, I think it was some Bible that didn't make it into the final cut of the Bible, where there's like a depiction of heaven where there's all cats and dogs and birds and all sorts of stuff up there. So, there is a precedent in the old Goat Herder's Guide to the Galaxy about that.
In one of them.
Well, yeah.
Well, there is no. I could go on a tangent.
Well, yeah,
let's avoid the tangents.
Yeah.
There's a 2019 study that I came across earlier when I was just decided I would listen to a podcast about religion that was actually saying religious people tend to be happier than non-religious people. So, I can kind of see why that would be.
Well, yeah, I mean, I can understand it can give peace. It can give
They have answers.
give answers. Yeah.
But I think the big mistake then would be religion in government.
I'm
where it
100% secular. Let's keep them.
Yeah.
They're two separate things.
Yeah.
Let's not let them. And I don't think governments or even religions should make decisions based on religion. Do you know what I mean?
No,
Like,
yeah.
because the Catholic Church, obviously, for example, lots of churches have historical sex abuse scandals. It's not just the Catholic Church, but that's the one I know most. They protected their priests for, as you know, religious and practical reasons as well.
That's a man-made institution. Just, you know.
Yeah, it is, and so I think even the religions should keep their decision making out of religion and say, well, this guy committed a crime. He should go to jail.
Can I ask you a question that's very it's not got to do with religion, or does it?
No, we can probably find a way of tying it in. Go on. What's the question?
So you know the way there's Bishop Eamon Casey.
Yes, he's back in the news.
He's back in the news, yeah.
I'm just going to ask, fill us in, because there may be listeners who don't know Bishop Eamon Casey if they're not 50.
So
Like I do, but
Eamon Casey was a bishop in Ireland, and specifically in Galway. Okay, in the Diocese of Galway. I don't know what the terminology is and what the ranks are exactly. But Eamon Casey was a bishop. Lots of people liked him. Lots of people... but basically, he was a womanizer. Okay?
And
to be fair, I think his biggest crime against the Catholic Church was he was dating a woman. Was it multiple women?
and sometimes without their consent.
Oh.
And sometimes they were younger.
Yeah.
Oh.
You wouldn't classify them as women.
I was always thinking...
Yeah, he had one
without
partner
I
for
thought
years, had a child.
Yeah, because I was kind of thinking, he's such a sinner because he dated a woman and had a child and raised them.
Am I correct?
And he was almost like he was held up for a long time as a paragon of, they should let priests marry. He was just being human.
Yeah.
But no.
Because you know Father Ted. Do you remember the episode of Father Ted, which did a kind of a...
Oh, they did the whole skit. That takes on a much darker tone now.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, no.
Yeah.
I am disappointed.
So am I. So was I when I read it. It's, yeah.
And is that like a new revelation or something?
I think someone came out, some woman, or several women, I think, came out and
But that is ridiculous as well. Another thing, the whole reason that the Catholic Church say, "Hey, our priests can't marry and stuff," is because it's like,
it's even worse.
oh,
So,
his niece.
there's a thing here that we can't read out, can we?
well, I mean,
I mean, it's in the news. Patricia Donovan alleged he was sexually abused that Bishop Casey abused her for a number of years from the age of 5. So basically, that's what that's a lot of the big
But
stuff.
I think that was the start of it. At least in Ireland, the whole, and I think
Anne Murphy.
Ireland was extremely religious and
at
controlled
the time.
by the
Yeah,
church
yeah,
until
very much
that
so.
was the beginning of the downfall.
That was the start of it. Yeah, that was the first kind of, I think the first that I can remember, the first story that kind of made people go, oh, they're not infallible. They can make mistakes. They're human.
But I want to ask a question, and I don't want to be like just dumping on flaming Catholics here, like type of thing. Okay.
Again, it's because of what we know.
Yeah, exactly.
Trust me, if we
But-
knew about other religions, we would be giving out about them
no,
just
but
as
the
bad.
thing is, right? If so, Bishop Casey is buried in the crypt in the cathedral.
All I imagine is that, you know the TV show, The Crypt Keeper? Can't remember what it's called. Anyway, continue.
But basically,
Sorry.
people are
Tales
there's
from
an
Underdark or
argument at the
something.
moment.
No,
There's an
that's
argument
not.
at the moment. Should he be taken out the crypt?
Yes.
Take him out and kick him around a bit.
Yeah, do what that. There was a pope hundreds of years ago who, when he became pope, he went to where his rival, the last pope, had been buried, dug him up, put him on trial, put his body on trial, and then hanged him.
Wow.
So yeah, I think dig him up and just like burn him or something.
No, give him a fair trial first, then burn him.
You see, but then here's some of the issues with religion. Okay. And specifically,
Have we got that much time?
no, wait, no. Here's an issue with Catholicism. Again, it's a religion. I know. Catholics were meant to forgive. A Catholic would forgive, because a Catholic should say, I think a Catholic should say, Bishop Casey is no longer man's problem, as in the human race's problem. Now he's God's problem. So God will deal with him how God will deal with him.
Yeah.
So it's outside of our
That's a
jurisdiction.
jurisdictional matter, yeah.
Yeah, like, literally, it's in the jurisdiction of the afterlife. So then it's like, but then you might say, sure, his body now is just an empty husk type of thing. Should it be left?
When did he die?
Don't know. Don't know.
Yeah, don't care.
Long
But-
time.
He's a scumbag.
But basically, should his body be left in the cathedral?
No,
Like,
make room for someone who's.
you're
actually-
asking, it's like saying, if a child is like, I have this toy box and all my magic toys are in there, and then there's another toy box for the toys that are not magic. Which one should I put this in? I mean, knock yourself out, yeah. Who cares? It's a stupid
No,
tomb
but-
or crypt or whatever. But he's dead.
So
I just think it's a ridiculous waste of effort and energy to just do anything about it.
so it's ridiculous to take him out equally as much as
Yeah.
it's ridiculous to leave him in.
I mean, if it makes someone feel better, take him out and kick him around the place, or throw him in a jar and put him in the sea, or
But
him in the
my thoughts on it would be, if you're not a Catholic, then you don't have a say in it.
oh yeah, that's one thing I agree on. Right? If someone tells me that they have their own private club and it's all magic and they have their own rules and I'm not invited, oh okay. And then if they're going to do something and I don't get a vote, I'm okay with that. In fact, I think that's right.
Yeah.
I would counter a small bit with saying that Catholics saying yes or no whether he should be in the cathedral or not. Yeah, that's fair, but abuse victims, I think, would get a vote, whether they're religious or not.
You know, that's a valid point. Actually, Barry, you know what? That trumps my point 100%. I agree with you totally.
Because and I think you might probably find quite a lot of abused people who were abused by members of any religion are probably not religious. I don't know. There's something about getting raped might make you think twice about religion.
Yeah, I can definitely trace my atheism back to being taught by a nun in school. You know her.
Yeah.
We won't name her. For
You
a
know
minute,
her. You love her.
She taught you too. But anyway, yeah, I know. I can trace it back to, that's when you realize, wait a minute, these people are full of shit.
Yeah.
They're evil.
But yeah, and that's the thing. We encountered quite a lot of evil, and that's the only word for it in the Catholic Church again that we're familiar with, including our parish priest at the time.
Father Lang.
Yeah, he's a scumbag.
Was he? I thought he was an alcohol, but I didn't.
Horrible
think he was
human
any harm in him.
being. Horrible. Human
Well, he was a dick. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I would have used the C word, but yeah, just a horrible human being. So
There's one thing I'm going to throw out there, right? I follow I try to follow all the different sides of the media, right? And unfortunately, I do get exposed to a lot of American media. So you'll read an article and you immediately know, because nothing's objective anymore. This is clearly a pro-Trump article or a pro-Democrat article. There's never an objective, oh, Trump is so bad with this, but then, geez, look at Biden, he's so bad at that. There's none of that, ever. There's always just one is bad and one is good, and then there's...
you should probably start watching Al Jazeera.
Oh, really?
Yeah, apparently they're really non-biased. Apparently they're...
There is actually a app called Ground News, if anyone wants to look it up, and it presents... It'll just say a story, but it'll provide like 10 different sites, and it gives a little score. You can see like 50% red and 20% blue and 30% white, kind of in the middle, kind of how biased each article is. Ground news. It's worth looking up. But anyway, my whole point in saying all this, because I don't want to move away from the topic of the day, but it's like, you keep hearing about, oh, God is so great. I mean, he's super unconfident, and you better not look elsewhere. You know, he's your God. Don't you say another God, or don't like build a little statue or whatever. But then you got Satan, who's like, oh, no, he's so bad, he's awful, and everything he does is so evil. He is a big pit full of fire that he'll throw you in.
Doesn't make him evil.
Wait a minute.
He's just a manager. Like.
Well, it sounds bad, right? But yeah, who's telling you that? Consider the source. That's what I always try to think when I'm reading any article.
But also Satan is an angel.
Well, yes, exactly. But he's an angel that another angel is shitting on. But I want to hear Satan's side of the story. Where's the Satan's Guide to the Galaxy? I don't know.
Well, actually...
And by the way, there is a Satanist Bible, but,
look it up.
But it's written by people.
Yeah.
No, but
so again,
but
the
the Church of Satan does exist. Now, I've never spoken to a member of the Church of Satan, but I do know that during COVID, the Church of Satan helped loads of people. I do know that they provided shelter for people. I do know that the Church of Satan, when religious organizations in America were flaming stoning women for having abortions and stuff, that I do know that the Church of Satan was helping people and giving...
It makes sense. It makes sense. Think about this. Satan's in hell. What's he doing in hell?
I don't know.
Torturing sinners. I'm sorry, but that doesn't sound like a bad guy to me. Eamon Casey is a paedophile. When he died, he 100% went to hell, if it exists. And what's getting like red hot pokers up his ass by Satan.
Okay,
and Satan's like, you know what, Eamon, I got to stop now because I got to go and whip Hitler for a while. So excuse me.
I never thought of it.
Okay, Barry, I'm in. Hail Satan.
That just popped into
let me think. Do we have any other things to say on religion?
Oh man, there's so much, but I think we've talked enough.
I think we can't top that Satan story right there.
Yeah, right there.
I'm a convert. Right? I changed my atheism.
Yeah, Lucifer Morningstar. He the man.
That's it then, is it?
Okay, so I guess
for tonight, yeah.
Do we have any... Wait, here's the thing I'd like to do. Barry, give me a closing statement / closing... Actually, I'll give you a second to come up with your closing statement.
What, is it just like a thought for the day? Is it for religion?
No, thought for the day regarding religion. Because this is their topic. I'm going to think about it. And Mart, I think you're the most...
ready.
Firing on all cylinders of us, always. So what's your closing thought of the day on religion?
Well, I will say this, right? I remember years ago, I read this in college, right? And it just always stayed with me because there's a guy, Pascal, and he kind of was an atheist saying, hey, God doesn't exist. But if you look at it from a risk-reward kind of or a risk-balancing kind of an angle, right? Now, again, the problem here is you got to pick one God out of 18,000 and say, well, that one might be real. And I don't know, maybe you could try doing it with all of them. 4,000
current religions today.
I'm just thinking of Binny from The Mummy. Pulling out all the different religious symbols.
Exactly. Yeah. But what Pascal said was, even let's say you don't believe in God and you're wrong. Boom, eternity in hell. You are going to burn. And this is another thing that I had a beef with when I was in college and reading all this stuff. Because again, when I studied it, it kind of made me think a lot of this. Is I don't know how true this is, but my understanding at least is, according to the Catholic Bible anyway, and this is again only talking about the Catholic religion, if you are a Catholic and you live a good life, you go to heaven. If you're not a Catholic, fuck you, you're going to burn. Doesn't matter. Live a good life, do everything right, doesn't matter. You are going to burn. So that's kind of...
For eternity.
Yeah, for eternity. It's
no chance of parole.
Come on. Yeah, exactly. It's like...
You're burning for a length of time that you can't even comprehend.
That feels harsh. And again,
harsh.
So,
harsh, man. Of a forgiving...
Exactly. So, especially if, hey, I was born in another country where they never even told me that this God existed. Well, tough. You should have known. You're going to burn. That just... No, I don't know. Maybe that's unfair judgment, and maybe there's somewhere in the Bible that says, no, don't worry.
That's what the missionaries are for.
Well, work harder, missionaries. Jeez. Oh, actually, I'll come back to that in a minute, because that's another interesting thing. But Pascal's wager... Pascal's wager was, If
Oh, is that what Pascal's wager is?
Yeah, if there is a God, but you're an atheist, you are going to burn. And not just like you'll burn for all eternity. And as you know, eternity is literally unfathomably long than, anyone can conceive and everything.
Long, yeah.
So anyway, I'll come back to that. So that's one angle. Or the other angle is, if you do believe in God, but you're wrong, no harm, no foul. You die, you just go to nothing, which you were going to go to anyway, right? So Pascal's wager is, which wager are you going to bet? Are you going to bet that there's no God and live like an atheist and risk burning in hell for all eternity? Or would the safer bet not be bet
Believe
that there
in
is
a
a God,
God, yeah.
and just adhere to that and stick to it for the whole of your life, just in case?
Yeah.
So,
And either way, if you pick a religion and you live it properly, because I cannot believe that if any of the religions are right, I can't believe that any of the fundamentalists of that religion are going to their heaven.
well, one thing I'm going to say straight away, right? Because you're giving fundamentalists a hard time here. If I believed in, and I'm only going to pick the Christian religion because I know it. If I believed in the Christian religion truly, I would be fundamentalist.
Oh, right.
I
So
wouldn't
you'd be
just-
stoning Rachel and...
I would stone you to death, Barry,
Because I'm-
right now, if I thought that you're going to sin when you go out that door, but if I kill you, I will have saved you from that mortal sin, and I've saved your soul.
But you've condemned yourself.
Yes, because you know what I would do, Barry? Because I love you. I would sacrifice my soul for your soul.
Yeah, but then you just have to regret it
Well, then again...
and get absolution.
Yeah, well, actually, real quick. Wait, regret it. Yeah. Wait till I'm just about to die. But my point is, if you look at the logic of religion, if it is real, then let's say I was a real Christian and I really believed that my life is going to bring me to heaven, but if one of my friends is an atheist, so he's going to burn in hell, I'm his friend and I just sit back and enjoy a beer with him and just know he's going to burn in hell, and I could save him from an eternity of hell. Eternity is so vast that it's worth killing 100 million people.
But killing him is just speeding his trip down.
Nope, because for example, if you could, for example, convert him real quick, and then the minute he believes, kill him quick before he changes his mind. Boom. Now again, you're damning yourself to save him. But if you do that to 100 million people, you have saved 100 million souls and sacrificed your own to do it. Yes, you burn in hell forever, but you have saved 100 million souls. Worth it. And in fact, I would like to think that my God will look at that balance sheet and go, you know what? This guy's a bit of a legend. Let him in anyway.
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean...
No, I don't like that.
You may not like it, but the logic is
I-
sound. But the logic is sound.
I'm too tired to poke holes in it.
Anyway, that's my closing statement.
That's a hell of a closing statement.
If I
Mine
was...
is, if you want to practice religion, go right ahead, but just don't be a dick.
Oh, I'd be the opposite. I'd be like, if you're going to practice religion at all, be a fundamentalist and do it right, or don't do it at all.
Mine is that if you are going to practice religion, I think that most people practice religion because they don't have the answer to what is out there. Do you understand? As in, what's outside? Like,
Nobody has that answer.
yeah, except people who believe that they have the answer.
Well, that doesn't mean they have the answer.
No.
Oh, no,
doesn't
no,
mean
no,
that
but
answer,
based
yeah.
on what we
But
were
I know
saying.
what you mean.
Yeah,
It gives
yeah.
them the security
Yeah.
to think they have the
Yeah.
answer at least.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's an answer.
It's an answer.
It's an answer.
It's like the guy that goes for a job interview and the person says, what are your strengths? And he says, I'm really quick at maths. So the interviewer obviously goes, oh, okay, what's 342 multiplied by 762? And the guy goes, 62. And the interviewer goes, that's nowhere near right. That's completely wrong. And he goes, no, but it was fast.
That sums it up perfectly.
That's a perfectly good way to finish up this show. Join us again. Some bat time, some bat channel.
And in the meantime, hail Satan.
Yeah, you know what you got to do.
Thanks very much, guys. Enjoy.
Good night.
Bye-bye.
Bye
Good
now.
night. Bye. Boom.